Howdy folks, welcome back to Kdogs Movies. Well, I've actually been on vacation for this past week, and I'm going into this next week being on vacation. And of course, last week was a little bit busy, doing things. I volunteer a little bit since there's been a 4-H there's been a 4-H fair. I take I volunteer a little bit involving with that. But in the meantime, I did manage to catch in a couple flicks. I'm going to split it up into two videos talking about the different movies I watched. I'm not going to do this in any particular order of the ones I watched, but the first one I'm going to talk about is one I've put off watching. I've had it in my collection, but I have put it off. Actually, both these movies I've put off for quite some, since they were released onto a 4K, and never did get to see them in the theater. Of course, this was, during the pandemic time, and, just a lot of, there hasn't been a reason to go to the movies a lot. So, the first film I'm going to talk about is actually a comic book movie, and it's not based on any particular comic book or an adaptation, but it is a take on a legendary comic book character, and not one you would really want to hang around. And especially with this adaptation, it's an alternate take. Even with this alternate take, this person is not very good. Film stars Joaquin Phoenix and Robert De Niro. Directed by Todd Phillips. Released by Warner Brothers. It is Joker. It's an alternate take on the character of the Joker. As a matter of fact, he's never really given a full... I don't think the Joker was really given a full name, except in the Batman movies directed by Tim Burton, and where he's given the name Jack. But in this film, he is the character named Arthur Fleck. He's a struggling comedian. I guess that's what you want to call him. He's a struggling comedian with a mental illness, and he can't control laughing, because there's points in the film where he just sits there, and it's almost like he's crying, that he wants to stop laughing, but he can't. He lives in the slums of Gotham City with his mother, and and of course he has to take care of her, and he's run down, and he's trying to be a comedian, but his stuff isn't really that funny. I mean, he thinks it's funny, but it's really not. And of course, he's also I don't know what you want to call him. He's the feeling, like he's almost he's fixated on Robert De Niro's character, and Robert De Niro plays this television late night talk show host, Murray, yeah. Yeah, he plays this talk show host by the name of Murray, and he's kind of like a throwback to what Johnny Carson and several other people would do, like early Dave Letterman, but mostly it's like influenced of Johnny Carson, what Robert De Niro's playing here. And of course, this really this film is about a descent into one's madness, and because throughout the start of the film we know that Arthur is he's struggling to make it. At first you kind of want to see him, you know, you think, oh, how sad, you know, he's this rundown guy, and then you see the life that he goes through, and but more and more you see him descent slow, like just goes into like a free fall of, we already know that he has a mental illness, but he just goes down really quick. And of course he's beat up all the time. He's beat up, he's bullied, but then, you know, one person can only take being beaten up and being mocked so long before they snap. And that's exactly what happens to Arthur, is he snaps, and he likes doing what he does. And you could almost say that Heath Ledger's Joker was kind of an inspiration to this, but even though it really wasn't. It was more based on, okay, we took elements from certain books in the comics and came up with an alternate version of what makes the Joker tick. Even though I think Joaquin Phoenix definitely, he won the best actor award for this character, and Heath Ledger also won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor playing the Joker. So this character has a long history in, you know, definitely in the cinema. It goes back to the 1960s, you know, it goes back to the comic books for at least 80 years, and then you have the TV show, and then the Tim Burton movie with Jack Nicholson, and then Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight. Now you have Joaquin Phoenix playing Joker. It's an alternate take on his origin story, and definitely, you know, there's distinct differences between, you know, Joaquin Phoenix, Heath Ledger, and Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson just played the Joker as just this people-killing clown. He was a clown. And then Heath Ledger was definitely the, as he says in the film, the agent of chaos. And in this film, it's definitely the descent of a madman. And the climax of the film and how it kind of ties into being a part of Batman's story is, you do see the murder of Thomas and Martha Wayne in the film. I'm not going to tell you exactly how that happens, but you know, that is definitely depicted. Bruce Wayne is just a little kid in this movie, but he's not really. He's only in a couple scenes that, so he's not really, because it's not his story. It's Arthur Fleck's story. It's the Joker's story, and so it's very much very based in reality, even more so than what The Dark Knight did. I think Christopher Nolan did a phenomenal job with The Dark Knight, and, you know, kind of basing it in reality, but there was also this fantasy element to it, you know, with Batman having all this gadgetry, and that he could do whatever he wanted to do and had unlimited wealth. This is about really based in reality of, you know, there are the rich, there are the poor, and of course with this film coming out around this time, it kind of plays into the fact of financial differences. The 1% versus the 99, and of course with the riot, there's a little bit of rioting with the police are. I don't want to say the police are depicted as bad guys, but definitely you do see brutality and hostility towards police. And so another thing about this film is that it pays homage to a couple things of filmmaking. It's almost like if Martin Scorsese directed a comic book movie, really. Because you do have Robert De Niro, but you get this performance out of an actor that's beyond recognition. And then you also have, there's a shot at the end of the film that kind of pays homage to the movie, the 70s movie Network, and very similar fashion where a TV show host is shot in the head on live television, and all of a sudden you see all these TV screens and with all the TV commercials and cut in with the news story of saying that such and such person was killed and whatnot. I think it's a film that does deserve its R rating. It's a wonder. I remember looking back on The Dark Knight. Even when I saw that in the theater, it only received a PG-13 rating, but there was some very, very menacing stuff that happened in the film. And of course, this film, Joker, is hardcore rated R. And matter of fact, the MPAA states in their rating, and this is what it says on the box: strong bloody violence, disturbing behavior, language, and brief sexual images. But the behavior that Joaquin Phoenix portrays in this film is highly illegal. And some of the things that he does, and it's just my opinion. It is a well-made movie. Do keep your kids away from it. It's very, very hardcore, rated R material. It's not for kids. And with me picking up the habit of collecting comic books and graphic novels, the stories are very much, they're not for kids anymore. It's now for the adults who are now grown up, and superheroes are dealing with hardcore issues and very, very disturbing material, and now we're getting into psychological stuff with these characters. So in terms of my rating, I give it a recommendation. Do recommend it for adults, 17 on up. No, if you are under that age, do steer clear of it. Stick to The Dark Knight, because it is very, very intense. So, from me to you, see you later.
Murray, one small thing.
Yeah.
When you bring me out, can you introduce me as Joker?
Send in the clown.